So, hello and welcome to this live session on plastic waste management course. So, this is the first live session for this particular course, and we will have another one maybe in few weeks from now. So, as you know, for each live session probably you may have taken other courses as well. So, what we do first is we go through the questions which has already been submitted for this live session. So, we will go through those questions initially, then we will follow it by the questions that you are submitting now in the chat box. So, I would encourage you all to go ahead and start putting your questions up, so that we can start going through after I am done with this list. So, the first question which has come is from Mr. Roshan Saxena, and it is kind of very generalized question which kind of relates to both plastic waste management as well as the e-waste management. And the question is here that we want to do a startup on e-waste / plastic waste recycling. Please tell me which one is most better for me. According to you, which is most dangerous on this planet, e-waste or plastic waste? So, in terms of like what is most better for you, I do not like that is very difficult to answer, but the second part which you are asking, that which one is more dangerous, plastic waste or e-waste. In fact, see, both plastic waste as well as the e-waste, the problem is the improper management of these waste stream. It is the contaminants which is heavy metals, organics, mostly organics in plastic waste, heavy metals, there are some heavy metals in plastic as well in terms of pigments and other stuff, the colored pigment, but in more heavy metals, less or slightly less organics in electronic waste. So, both are problematic, but if I have to choose between those two, I would probably go for plastic waste, because it's the presence of plastic is everywhere. Electronic waste is kind of is still a bit controlled. You do see electronic waste, but you do not see them being thrown around as you see plastic. You just go out and to any town, cities, if you travel by rail, you see all along the railway track a lot of plastic material which is getting into our rivers and ponds and creating a lot of problem. So, I would choose plastic waste first, but then it all depends on your like what is your what you want to do with the business, whether you are looking for profit making. I think probably you will make more profit if you do e-waste recycling, especially for the precious metal recovery. So, it's not an easy question to answer, it depends on what your objective is, but I would say in terms of dangerous output for plastic waste at a higher level than electronic waste. So, and then he's mentioned that he has taken both e-waste as well as other waste management course, and has been topper on those courses. That's pretty good. So, I think and then the final is, which kind of a startup will be best regarding waste management out of these three in India's modern days? Again, it depends on what kind of market you have. So, it's a more of a business related courses, less of a technical course, technical question. So, I would say each one, which one will you choose, if you just put right effort and look at your market, look at what kind of raw material is available to you, you can make either one of them work for you. So, other than that, if I do not think I have much input I can give you on that question. If you can ask some specifics on that through a discussion forum, and we will try to answer that. So, next question is from Suchi, how we can establish plastic waste management in small groups with cost effective manner. So, so it is a segregation of plastic waste from the other waste, other wet waste, that would be basically, that will be key to recycling. Say when you go for recycling, although these are waste material, they are essentially resource, they are recyclable material. So, it's a material, it's no more a waste. So, it's a recovered material. So, that needs to be collected properly. So, if you can do the wet and dry separation, which I kept on saying in this course and other waste related courses as well, that if you do the at least wet and dry separation, which is required as per the municipal solid waste management rules 2016 and onwards, that if you do that, then it becomes easier. So, segregation of plastic waste, that would be key. And then you need to have a community based collection system. You do the collection every week or every day, depending on how much infrastructure you can have. Contact with rack pickers, you can get the informal sector involved, and so that then you can get it collected and get it delivered in the recycling centers, where as we discussed in the courses as well, many types of especially those if you look at go by the resin code, number 1, number 2, number 3, those are all number 4, these 4 types are easily recyclable materials. So, they do get recycled if it is collected properly. So, that is the collected in a cleaned way, not the dirty plastic. Dirty plastic very difficult to recycle. If you need to wash it, then you have a bigger water footprint. So, it is no point in terms of you may actually end up doing harm to the environment. If you have to wash it, if you have to take it to a longer distance and all that, you need to do a LCA exercise on that. Naresh is asking, can we degrade plastic within 1 year itself without pollution or environment? There are some advanced degradation techniques out there which has been tried in the lab. So, there is some specific inoculum, different types of bacteria, ultraviolet degradation has also been done. So, that basically speeds up the process, but the problem is they are working in the lab scale, but in terms of getting into technically and find it like a techno economic evaluation and trying to a big plant, that is it is not coming out like right now. Based on the research and the information that we have, we cannot really apply it in a field scale. So, yes, there are some research being done, but still it is a long way to go where we can get things degraded within a year. So, probably maybe in future we will be able to do that. Nijamuddin has a question, is there any cost effective fire retardants to enhance fire resistant capacity of waste? So, fire retardants, as the name suggests, fire retardant is retarding the fire. So, they are added, they are additives, they are additives to plastic. They are everywhere, they are in our couches, they are in our computers, they are in our TVs, they are in our laptops. So, they are see anything which when you charge your battery, it gets charge your mobile phone gets hot. So, so that mobile phone does not catches fire, we have a fire retardant there as well. So, this fire retardants, they are essentially additives, many times they are bromine based, halogen based. So, that you may have heard about the term brominated fire retardants as well. They are there to inhibit, suppress or delay combustion. So, there is no universal additive for all plastic. So, different types of things are used, and there are different there are like for each type of polymer, for a particular polymer there could be a certain types of fire retardant that is used, and depending on their flammability tests. So, based on which one works good, it is being used for that. So, there are several out there, and which depends on the polymer as well. So, there is no one answer to that. Now, Ravikiran K has a question that can we use single use plastic as a dam proofing material before laying the foundation? The answer is actually no, because although the plastic is water resistant material, they cannot sustain wear and tear. So, and they would not be able to sustain the microbial degradability over time as well. So, as we heard that some of the microbes do adapt and they start eating plastic because that is an organic material too. So, so that will make it weak, they will create holes in the fabric in the due course of time, and then it will not work as a dam proofing material. So, that will not be suggested to do that way. So, then next question again with a general type, what project I can do on plastic waste based on the course that we are taking right now. As you can see, there are different issues out there. You have to choose basically what interests you the most. You can talk about even in the better way of source segregation of plastic, come up with a better way of source segregation, even how to estimate how much plastic is produced. If you are good in math, I would like you to do some like a modeling exercise where you can try to find out how much plastic is produced, how we can predict how much plastic will come next year say into the waste stream. If again based on say if you are looking at a particular city, whichever city or town you are, you know how the waste is managed. So, can you predict how much plastic will get into the local river or local pond? It requires some field work, also some mathematical work. So, there are different things you can do. I would suggest that you talk to your local professors or lecturers, whoever is teaching in your university, or you just, if you are an individual, you just go and meet some people around you who are knowledgeable in this area, and they can help you select some good topic, and that's what basically you need to do for that. So, and Jyotirmai has a question that are reusable plastic covers used for packaging is harmful. Now, it depends on what kind of packaging you are talking about. If you are talking about plastic packaging, food packaging, the thing will be that probably you should not probably do that, because if you are reusing, when you are reusing single use plastic is designed for single use. So, when we start reusing them, they do have certain wear and tear. So, then the wear and tear leads to more leaching. They have chemicals in them. So, these chemicals will leach off and can get into your food material. So, you should not use it for food packaging, but if you want to do some packaging, say for transporting something, you are mailing some stuff and you want to use it as a cushion material and all, probably you can do that, but not for food packaging. That is why, in fact, there is a limitation on how much recycled plastic can be used in a food product, food container. So, that is the question that we had from which was submitted earlier. Now, I see that some questions are already there on the chat box. So, we will start getting those, and then if the time permits, we will still also look at some other questions which is like from the discussion forum, some of the common questions that has been asked. So, the next question which I see is that from Mr. Viswesh Patel, he is talking about benefits of national short policy. So, so national short policy actually is the policy of the Chinese government, where they have they are not taking, we can say effectively they are not taking. So, technically they are still accepting waste coming from developed countries, from the western world, but from anywhere basically, but the thing is that the contamination level is it has to be less than 0.5%. So, now 0.5% contamination, if you have to really clean your plastic, what does that mean? That means if you are sending 100 kg of waste plastic to China, the contamination should be less than 500 grams. So, that's pretty hard to achieve by any recycler. So, if they have to clean it up to that level. The thought came, say in Australia or US or Canada and other places where they were sending all this plastic to China, the thought came is why do not we improve our own local market. So, say 2 years ago when I was in Melbourne area, we visited several of these plastic recyclers now. What happened from when China started getting these waste? This waste recycling industry around the developed countries started dying, because the Chinese where it was cheaper to send it to China than to manage it within their own plants, because they in western world the environmental regulations are more strict. So, they have to spend a lot of money, labor cost is also high. So, they started sending this to China. Now, China, once they started their own garbage so much, so what they started producing their own waste, because their economy is also going up, and you saw that as more people get wealthy, more and more waste is produced. So, that led to Chinese government deciding that we should not take dirty waste from outside, we will just take the clean waste from outside. Now, getting the clean waste is very hard. So, Australian government or Australian industry is thinking, or the US industry is thinking, Canadian industries are thinking that why do not we go back and do the recycling within our country itself, which is actually the benefit of the national short policy, I would say, because the waste should be managed within a certain periphery. Sending waste overseas for recycling does not really make much of a sense, because you do end up having a big environmental footprint there as well in terms of transportation and all. So, those are the benefit, but then temporarily what happened was because of the Chinese short policy, we started in India, we started getting more plastic waste. So, India has also started like putting some restriction in terms of how much plastic waste we will accept. So, this has created a lot of new dynamics in terms of the plastic waste management. Just this month for March, which will come actually March 2020, if you look at the National Geographic magazine, which is available online as well. So, their cover page is on trash, and then they have a big article on circular economy, where they are talking about this recycling business and all that, where this Chinese short policy has been discussed in great detail. So, you may want to look at that as well. So, then we have Charlie who has question as how does plastics can be permanently removed from earth. So, basically like for any plastic that is being produced from now on, say we should not let it go unmanaged. because as you, and one of the question was there in your discussion forum, that how come US per capita plastic consumption is so high as compared to India, but in US their plastic is not getting into the rivers or ocean as much as it gets into the Indian conditions. The reason is that they have developed their waste collection and recycling infrastructure. In India, we don't have, we haven't developed it yet. We are kind of, as I said, I say in the course video several times, that in terms of waste management, we are kind of nearly, I would say 40-50 years behind where Western European countries or part of US and Canada is. So we have to really improve. We have, it will take time, but we have to work on it. If we don't work on that, it's kind of difficult for us to achieve that. So, but if that's from now on, if we don't let any plastic being mismanaged, so if we manage it properly, it will not get into the to the environmental system like that way, like it is happening now. For the older waste which is already out there, you have to just somehow collect it. So it's an enormous exercise, but those collection needs to be done from all those dump sites and other. We have to put it in a secure landfill and try to recover as much as possible, if possible recycle those. So there is, it's kind of difficult, and then there will be some plastic is still there, because there are microplastics after breaking down of these big plastic pieces. So they will be there for long time. That's why we say that that Great Pacific garbage patch and several garbage patches that you will to see. So permanently removed from earth, theoretically we can say that yes, it can be done. Practically it will take it pretty much not possible. We will have those mismanaged plastic that we have put in environment will still be around, traces of that will still be around, say 100 years from now or so, just even if we do all things good from today. So that's it. If we don't do anything, if we don't improve our system, it will be for maybe for even our 2-3 generations later, we will see this plastic is still creating problem. So Motilal, sir, I want to recycle plastic to make building materials. Any tip regarding this? Please suggest other courses which helps in recycling. Say other courses in terms of recycling in the integrated waste management course, we do talk about that, which is which will be I think offered in July. Usually it is for last few years it has been running and then rerunning. So I hope that it will all, I think that it will be online again this July. So you can probably look at that. So you want to make plastic to building material. There are already some companies doing that in India. So if you start looking into Google, people are making tiles, people are using it even in some sort of brick making. There is a company out there in New Zealand which makes a brick out of this plastic waste, which they basically compress this plastic into a brick shape and then put a layer of concrete around it just to give a fireproofing. So there are things which people are doing it, but only in a limited scale, because but those things are being done over there as well. So in terms of the next question is Prithvi Seth, can you recommend any plastic recycling factory near Pune which I can visit to understand 3 R's recycle reuse? I don't remember right now in my head any plastic recycling facility in that area, but we will keep a note of that, and in our discussion forum we will put put the answer for you. If after you can do that Google search as well, but we will try to find it and find the information and provide you that if there is a plastic recycling facility near Pune. Right now I don't have that information. So Motilal, that CPVC and UPVC come under which category, sir? So I would like to, I think they are PVC pipes, that is what you are talking about. If you can just elaborate on that question a little bit, what do you mean by that C and U over there? We can talk about that, but I think they are part of the PVC pipes. Next by Roshan Saxena is, sir, last year in June internship was not provided through. I was shortlisted for internship after I topped in e-waste. Whether the internship will be provided this year. I don't know why it was, and that was you are talking about the e-waste course, and we are in the plastic waste. That could be last week during summer. Like I was traveling, I was not here, I was overseas for some time. So that could be the reason why it was not done. I don't remember actually right now. And this summer as well, I am not sure right now whether like I personally will not be here. You can, if the other professors are interested, they may be able to offer you something, but most likely I will not be here during this summer as well, but nothing is confirmed yet. So, if you do well, you do apply, and if you want to do internship at IIT Kharagpur in my lab, then I can let you know if I am around or not around. But the next is Tamanna Ahmed. Is there going to ban on import of plastic waste from other countries? So, if it is beneficial to think about setting any recycling plant. See, even if there is a ban, there is thought on getting ban on import of plastic waste from other countries. Even if there is a ban on plastic waste from other country, we are a country of 1.3 billion people. So, we itself produce a lot of plastic waste. So, you do not have to, even if we do not get waste from other countries, does not matter. We ourselves produce a lot of plastic waste. You go to any store, you buy even regular your like rice, dal, sugar, and everything comes in a plastic bag. So, that's they are all packaged in a plastic. So, most of them are just single use plastic, but there are a lot of recyclable plastics out there too. So, it is I would say good recycling plant in plastic will definitely will make some money if it done properly. So, it's do not worry too much about like not able to get waste from overseas, although we being 1.3 billion people, probably more than Europe. So, we itself has a lot of plastic that we produce. Suchi Tiwari, what plastic management project are going now in IIT KGP? Is it possible to do collaboration project with IIT Kharagpur? You need to you can go on IIT Kharagpur website, find my contact information and send me an email what you are talking about, what exactly you are talking about in terms of collaboration and all that. We can see if we can help you in any way. We will be more than happy to do that. In terms of plastic waste management project, we have a couple of 2 PhD students who are working on plastic waste management, and they are essentially those 2 are the TAs for this course. So, both the 2 TAs who are on for this course are actually the students who are doing PhD on plastic waste management. So, in one we are trying to make plastochar and trying to use plastochar in terms of some like a land remediation, contaminant remediation, mining site remediation exercise. In the other, we are trying to create plastic to fuel. So, and then trying to look at the environmental emissions and all that. So, there are those kind of projects are going on. You can even if you go to our like publication list, you will find some of our book chapters and publications on that line as well. So, that's but you can go online, look at on IIT Kharagpur website and try to find my email and then send me an email on that. So, I will try to answer you from there. Prithvi said, will the exam be of multiple choice? Like usually yes, exam is on very similar to what if you have taken a GATE exam. So, the format stays the same, that same TCS ION platform that we use for this exam as well. So, I can which will be again you may have to do some math problem, which but at the end of the day there will be 4 choices. So, which you need to check one of those choices. So, yes, the answer will be of multiple choice. Sivam Rastogi, how can a university undergraduate encourage local bodies, Gram Panchayat do in remote village to manage plastic waste? So, if you are an university undergrad, so you can do it like we are doing. I will just give you I will try to answer with an example that we work with. I am pretty sure you will have an NSS program or something similar program. So, at IIT Kharagpur nearby villages, we are trying to work with NSS like NSS program, where we go to the villages, try to tell them like what they should not mix their plastic with food waste or organic waste. So, because they make food waste and organic waste can be converted to compost, and that compost can be used as a fertilizer. So, that can be that can be used up. So, if the plastic is present there, that contaminates that compost. So, compost quality goes bad. So, you can basically you need to go, you cannot really you need to be physically there at least few times, talk to the local village panchayat people, try to find some person there who is interested, who understands the problem, whom you can convince. You may have to make multiple visits, first few visits you may not get anything out of that, but do not lose heart and just keep on working on that, and then we have seen that people are able to do some stuff in. So, villages, the major problem in terms of village is although plastic waste is there, but it is of not that much of a problem as you see in the urban area. If we can just collect this plastic waste separately, do not burn it, because burning of the plastic waste is actually totally no, because the chemicals that is released is very harmful for us. So, that should be totally avoided. But other than that, we can try to try to keep this plastic waste separately and then try to make some stuff out of that. Since it is a village, the quantity will not be much. So, you cannot do a plastic to oil or plastic fuel, but if there is a government has a provision in terms of plastic being used in road construction. So, if you have a clean dry plastic waste, you can use it in the road construction even in the village area. So, you can talk to the local contractor, talk to local gram panchayat who gives contract for village roads, and you can use it in that sector, especially those bitumen, not the concrete. It is not just the concrete road, it has to has the bitumen road where the plastic can be used. Motilal is back again in the discussion forum. I have sent one question regarding is vegetable stuff they are making carry bags, please discuss. Is vegetable they are making carry bags, please discuss about this, sir. So, I do not have that discussion forum question, we will like to pull it up in a minute and then see if we can answer to that, but I will go to the next question right now. Manorma Kumari, when we will get the information regarding exam center? You will get an email from our NPTEL IIT Madras office. All the administrative stuff is done by NPTEL IIT Madras office, so do not worry about it. They will provide you information. It will be there on the course web page, course page as well. So, you will be provided. I think it might already be there. That I am not sure whether the exam centers have been allotted or not, but you will get it. So, if not, if you get in any trouble later on, just let us know. We will try to help, but 99.99% I am sure that there will be no issue. So, there were a couple of questions earlier which I kind of missed, which is also there on that which was sent to us this morning. Whether waste plastic can be processed back to get polymer that can be used for polymer impregnated concrete, and then why do not we start using plastic degrading bacteria on larger scale, it would save the environment. So, in terms of trying to use waste plastic for polymer impregnated concrete, it can polymer, it is basically they are polymer impregnated concretes are they are you can use them, you can use it make a hardened cement composite structure. It is allowed to be polymerized and it has to be polymerized at a specific temperature. It can be improve compressive strength, also it will be resistance to acid, sulfate and chloride attacks and all that. So, that is what the polymer impregnated concrete is there, but in terms of limitations of using the plastic will be that if monomer quality obtained by thermal depolymerization, we need to look at the quality of that. Some additive which is used in plastic can interfere with the properties of concrete. So, that needs to be tested. Then the cost of the method, because it all includes pyrolysis and then applying it to the concrete. So, you need to look at the cost. So, theoretically it can be done, practically you need to do a techno-economic analysis on that. So, that could be a good project. Somebody was asking what could be a good project for plastic waste. So, this could be a good project for plastic waste, where you get into a lab, you try to produce this concrete. Most of the civil engineering, like almost all civil engineering department around the country, around the world has a concrete lab. So, you get there, get some plastic waste, try to make this concrete up and then test it out. So, if it works. So, that could be a good undergraduate as well as postgraduate like MTech project as well. In terms of why we do not start using plastic degrading bacteria on the large scale, see the bacteria will be temperature and environment dependent. So, temperature most as a microbial process usually likes to have good around warm temperature. At a very cold temperature, the microbial activity does not work. So, you need to have warm temperature for it to work, and then other things has to be present, like a bacteria has to get acclimatized into that environment. Then getting that bacteria isolated, that also requires a lot of effort. You need to get that bacteria isolated. If it is locally available, good. then you can have what is known as that bio-augmentation, and then you can try to grow the bacteria at a faster rate and get these plastic degraded and all that. But that also creates another problem, because if you are getting this bacterial population, abnormal increase in bacteria population to get rid of plastic, after the plastic is used up, so what? How the bacteria will start eating up lots of organic matter, and if it is an aerobic process, it will start creating CO2. If it is an anaerobic process, it starts creating methane. So, in a big picture, you may end up solving plastic problem, but you will end up creating climate change problem in terms of the CO2 and methane emissions. And then if you are bringing outside bacteria, the bacteria which is not available locally, it can become what is known as invasive species, and that invasive species can like basically make the local species dormant. So, those issues may come up. So, all those things have to be looked into when you start going for this like bioremediation or biological treatment. So, there are some activities are going on in that in terms of laboratory scale but full scale understanding of the complex nature of interaction between microflora and detection of polymeric material that has not been done. So, again, a lot of research is needed in that area, plastic waste being relatively newer area if people are still working on that. So, now the another question is there any chance that we can blend PVC with concrete for construction purposes? See, we have to test it out. So, when you say any chance, again another project which somebody was asking that what kind of project we can do. We can see whether what will be the complexity will be getting that layer of concrete on PVC, that in the interface between the, say this is the PVC pipe, I try to put concrete around it. Now, whether the concrete will really, whether it will become like a one structure or whether it will be something like loose, so that the concrete gets separated and the pipe gets separated. So, then it will be of no use. So, we need to test it out how to do it, whether what kind of mechanism we have to do that. So, those kind of testing can be done in the lab to find out. But the question is why you want to do that. By PVC pipes where they are used for certain application for plumbing and all that. So, why you want to blend the concrete on there, so that based on your purpose you can see whether it is needed or not needed. Kunal Bhaskar, sir, I got admitted on 16 February. I missed 3 dates of submission of the first 3 assignment. Please suggest what to get. I want to get a certificate. So, I do not again you need to contact NPTEL IIT Madras office and ask them what will happen with the first 3 assignments. I think out of 8 as far as I remember, it is taken 6 out of 8. This is an 8-week course. So, there are 6 best assignments will be taken. So, in your case it could be maximum 5. So, what I would suggest is make sure that in all the assignments that you are doing you get 100%. That will happen if you look at the video, if you listen to the video very carefully, if you go through the PDF and other any reading material that has been provided to you very carefully. So, if you do that, you will get if you do 5 well and then you take the exam. So, only is that you are missing those out of 25% is your quiz. So, 25 out of best 6. So, you are just missing 4 marks. So, that is not a big deal. So, you can still get a certificate. So, that is I think so. Motilal sir, does anyone heard about ANV Green, a startup from Bangalore who makes plastic covers from vegetable starch? There might be out there. I have not heard about it. There are several startups out there. Even there are people who are using starch to make basically plastic covers, which could be used for. But then all these covers just recently, in fact, I put it on my Facebook as well few days back, where all these the biodegradable material which has been claimed to be biodegradable, they do not really biodegrade in natural environment. Biodegradable material by definition or compostable material by definition means that they should get biodegraded in a natural environment as compared and with the same rate as compared to the say food waste or other organic waste which we use for compost or biodegradable as a biodegradable waste. But many of these actually we found that does not biodegrade at that rate. In fact, it needs a industry scale composter for it to biodegrade. And many times these compostable or biodegradable plastic that is coming up, they are using some of these chemicals. For example, one of the chemical which is making a lot of interest or a lot of noise or a lot of concern, I would say, in environmental sector around the world is PFAS. You may have heard about that PFAS or PFOS. It is that coating material which is used in your non-stick cookware. So, that non-stick cookware that we use, that coating material, we should not, as soon as the coating material starts kind of wearing off, we should stop using that non-stick pan. But someplace we go to any roadside dhaba, they will keep on using it forever. But every time, because that PFAS gets leaching from there and gets into the food. So, some of these chemical, some of these so called biodegradable compostable stuff also uses PFAS there, and then that's another problem. So, I am not saying this evergreen may be very good, because I do not know about this company, but I have to. But what I am saying is, whenever you look at these kind of alternatives that is out there in the market, look at very carefully, because it should not become that one problem is replaced by another problem. It should not happen like a problem sifting, it should be problem solving. So, you need to look at that and carefully, that there is, because vegetable starch by itself is great, but if they are adding lot of other additives there which has environmental issues, then it becomes a problem. So, and they proved that the cover can be incinerated without any emission, does not affect the animals when they eat, besides it degrades to almost 70 days. So, please discuss it by contacting them. Can we use them without any doubt? Is it really alternative for packaging plastic? This was the question, sir. Okay. So, what I would suggest is you send us although every green NV green. So, I would ask one of our TAs to try to find out their more detail, and then based on what we find, we should be able to share that on the discussion forum, and also we have another live session as well. So, if we need to, we'll investigate that. We'll investigate that and try to get some information from there. But again, this is a particular product. I don't want to endorse a product. That's not, as a IIT Kharagpur course, we cannot endorse a product and we cannot criticize a product. We can just talk about the science of that product, and because we don't that's not our job. Our job is just to find out whether what could be good thing about that product, what could be the shortcomings of the product. Those things I can tell about. We'll find out and tell you. Sailesh Maurya, how to reduce use of plastic. We talk about that in the class videos. Please look at that, but just try to use alternatives. Don't use plastic bottles. Try to carry your own steel bottles, copper bottles. Copper bottles are in fashion these days. So, whatever is stainless steel, and so you can avoid using plastic. Carry your own bags. Don't insist to those vegetable people to give you your potato and onions in plastic bags. So, you carry your own bags and bring things over there. So, it's basically it's a behavioral change, and we talk about that in the course, and it is also there in if you Google, you will find lots of do's and don'ts on that. Anirudh, sir, there is an insect and bacteria which can digest plastic and release it as an organic matter. If they do really, can we use it in larger scale? So, again, I just answered that. I think that could be that was the question which was there on which was submitted earlier. That could be you or maybe somebody else. So, yeah, those bacteria, again, we have to look at they are in the lab scale they work, but in larger scale we have to we don't know, but we have to test it out. And then we already talked about what are some of the shortcomings associated with that. Sivam Rastagi, in my village there is no proper waste management facility, and there is a huge plastic litter on roads, on lands, especially vacant government lands, and lands has become a illegal landfill. Panchayat is doing nothing about it. See, it's very difficult for an IIT professor to do anything about that. So, it's you have to talk to your block development officer, you have to talk to your local village panchayat people, and also to your, if needed, to your DM. If there are some NGOs who are active in that area, you talk to them, because those are you have to do some activism and talk to those people and try to get those waste. See, as per the Swachh Bharat mission, so there are funds which has gone to every state, which you can find from Swachh Bharat mission website as well. So, there should be some initiative at the village level. So, unless you try to force your Gram Panchayat people. If whenever the next time election is there, you say that you try to bring that as one of the issue. So that's if those who will get it done, you vote for them. So you have to come up with those. It's not a technical problem. I know it's kind of a it's a real problem. I'm not your question is totally valid, but there is nothing we can do sitting here other than that what we just I just suggested, that you have to do some activism, talk to the local people and try to come up with the solution. And so yeah, that's Manorma Kumari, qualifying average score for all the assignment. There is no qualifying average score for all assignment. There will be, as I said, if you again you look at the front page of the course website, as you scroll down, you will see that exam information is there, how to register for exam is there, and it also talks about that your total overall score will be calculated based on 25% coming from assignments and 75% coming from the final exam. Out of 25%, there are, since this is an 8-week course, we take 6 best out of 8. So you have, even if your 2 has gone wrong, like in the 2 assignments you could not do very well, don't worry too much, because only 6 best will be taken. But I would suggest that you do all 8 nicely, so that don't later on, if just by chance you missed one, so don't think that we will skip this week's assignment because already I am doing well. So because later on you may get, say if somebody gets sick or something happened, you cannot take, so that becomes an issue. Pankaj has a question that why are plastics used in packaging? So plastic is, see, when we started using plastic, that started when we didn't want to use paper. Paper, there was a push that paper is killing trees. So paper, more and more paper usage means we require more and more trees to be cut. To save the environment, actually plastic was used. So that's how plastic started. But plastic being such a wonderful material, it's so again we try to go on we try to criticize plastic, but plastic as a material is wonderful. It does if you look at from morning to evening, all the stuff that you do, we touch plastic. Even the computer that I'm using right now in front of me, or that the monitor which is you're watching it on your laptop or on your iPhone, your mobile phone, or wherever, everything has plastic. So plastic is a wonderful material, and the problem is not plastic. The problem is the plastic waste. So when the plastic we throw away, that we are not managing properly. So that's the problem. So there is a difference. Plastic per se is not an issue. Plastic waste is an issue. Plastic we will keep on using for, you think about plastic being used in cars. Now the cars are lighter. Yes, it has become a bit in case of accidents and other stuff, you can say that yes, being plastic could be favorable, could be non-favorable, both cases are there. But at the same time, being lighter, that means the mileage of the car has gone up. If the mileage has gone up, means we are using less petrol. Losing less petrol means good for environment. So plastic does help that way. Coming back to your packaging, because plastic, say it's a moisture proof. Say take an example of sugar. Now if you use sugar in a tonga or paper bag, as we call it tonga in this part of India. So if you use that in a paper bag, that paper bag in the rainy season, your sugar will get moisture coming into that. So it will become soggy. Even hot jalebis, if you put it in a paper bag, it gets, by the time you reach home, it becomes soggy. Plastic being like a moisture proof, you take the plastic sugar in a plastic and then wrap it, close it, it becomes moisture proof, it does not let air to get in, it does not let moisture to come in. So things remains fresh for a long period of time, it increases the shelf life. So if you think about the food material, plastic actually helps keep our food fresher for a longer period. So it helps in reducing the food waste. So that's why there it is used. So if you can come up with a material which can do all this stuff that a plastic does, that plastic as a material does, and it's similar price, not too expensive, then you can replace plastic. So, that is why the focus that banning plastic, trying to, other than those single use plastic which is a nuisance, which we just use it once and throw away, other than those plastic, other plastic is actually not going to go away. We will keep on using plastic. You go to a hospital, most of the stuff you will find plastic. You walk in anywhere, you will find a lot of plastic based material. So, what is either like a blended plastic or say like a individual type plastic. So, it will be there, but what is needed is having a better plastic waste management system. That is why this course. The reason we offered this, started thinking about offering this course is because the plastic waste management part is basic. Plastic as a material, our material scientists have actually done a wonderful job into bringing that material. So, but we need to make sure that it is done properly. Sivam Rastagi, he is saying the why is styrofoam so difficult to recycle or manage properly, it is simply ending up in landfill. Again, styrofoam, its recycle value is not very good. It is too light of a material, you need too much styrofoam to kind of to recycle. So, in terms of economy of scale, it does not work. So, although there are some, if you again styrofoam, there have been some research going on today where people are coming up with recycling of styrofoam as well. So, since again it's all boils down to techno-economic analysis, technology sometimes are there, economically it does not make sense. So, that is why they are ending up in the landfill. So, and that material by itself is it cannot be recycled very easily. Some of the materials, say based on their resin type, some of the materials are easily recyclable. You can break it down and make a new material out of that. The styrofoam, it does not come under that category. That is the reason why you start seeing that in the landfill. So, that is I think those are the questions that we have on coming in the chat box. So, if you have further questions, you can put it there. Meanwhile, we can look at some of the questions on the discussion forum which was there. There was one question from Sushma, if I break the polymer into a monomer, there will be no need of new chemical to form new plastic, then why do not we do this? After collection of waste plastic, we can break into original chemical like monomer and then can regenerate fresh plastic, and there will be circle in plastic waste and plastic reuse. There will be no more plastic waste. Why do not we do this? So, yes, it is possible. Theoretically, the approach is totally correct. But practically what happens is the quality of the plastic degrades with depolymerization. So, you have if you look at from an example point of view, you look at that brand new plastic bottle, which is like is a Kinley or Aquafina or whatever Bisleri, which is made from like a original plastic, that does not have that much of a recycled plastic content. Then the other bottles which have the recycling plastic content, you will start seeing the plastic bottles being a bit weaker, because whenever you whenever you start using recycled plastic, it starts getting weaker with the quality gets degrades with depolymerization. So, and then we use a lot of additives which cannot be taken out during this thermal degradation. So, then we have contamination of the plastic as well. So, the plastic needs to be cleaned up before you go for this kind of recycle. So, that is why the recycled plastic ends up having less value from new plastic. So, that is the reason why you cannot do it forever. If we can come up with a modification in the plastic polymer, so that it can be 100% recyclable, so the quality remains intact, then you can do it. Say in Germany, they use that Coke bottle or Pepsi bottle that we, like 1 liter or 500 ml bottle that we use in Germany. They have they do it for 16-17 times. The same bottle gets recycled, those like a soda bottle. So, that can be that is again a special type of plastic, like slightly better type of PET plastic. So, that can be that is done over there. So, yes, you can do it, but after again even there after 16-17 times they have to essentially stop, and they cannot do it after that. Then there are some we actually talked about that already. What is the role of an academic institution in plastic waste management? That is Ramjan Mulani is talking about that. So, in terms of role of academic institution, one of the role is what we are doing right now in terms of creating awareness, in terms offering courses, offering workshops, offering industry training. That's the role of academic institution that we kind of do for each and every subject that is offered within a particular campus. Then of course, our role is industry, like role is on research. As I mentioned earlier, in my lab itself, we have 2 PhD students just working on plastic waste, and there are other people working on this stuff on campus too, and then people working around the country, around the world. So those are in different academic institution, people are looking at plastic waste. So that's that is there, and then at the same and then we have to also work jointly with your industry and try to solve those industry problems. So those are the typical role that academic institution has to play for any kind of activity, including the plastic waste management. So then there are some new questions have come up. The question from New World Nation. So that's an ID. Sir, is there any rule for recycling of glass fiber sheets? So glass fiber sheets, I don't know of any specific, I don't think there is any specific rule for that. So they would come under, say if the glass fiber sheet is coming from municipal solid waste or the industrial waste, they will come under those rules. So there are rules for recycling, which is either it will fall under the waste management rules 2016. If you are talking about glass fiber sheets coming from construction sector, construction and demolition sector, it will be come under C&D waste rules. So there is, say, as if your question is, as we have a e-waste rule, as we have plastic waste management rules, do we have a specific rule on glass what was the glass fiber sheets? No, I have not seen that, and I don't think so. If it's out there, you let us know, but I don't think it is any specific to that. But say that doesn't mean that you can do anything with that, because it does come under all the different environmental rules which is out there. If it is a part of a waste stream, it has to follow the waste management rules. If it's then we have the clean, like we have the water rules, we have the environmental protection rules. So all those will apply to that. So whenever you go for recycling of that, you have to go through that SPCB, State Pollution Control Board, Central Pollution Control Board, all those permits that will be required for that as well. How can we reduce Pankaj? How can we reduce plastic waste in the ocean? Again, if we manage the plastic waste properly, if we can manage the plastic waste properly, it will not end up in our streams, it will not end up in our rivers, then it will not go to the ocean. So only way we can do it is managing the plastic waste properly, which we talk in great detail in the course. If you have not reached to that week yet, you will see that. So that's what we need to do. We need to start managing, collecting it properly, do the source segregation. So even the plastic waste management rules, that it talks about that as well. So if we what we need is actually put the system in place. Our rules are pretty strict. Sometimes it even feels like too strict, but that's okay. But we need to start implementing the rule on the ground. That's where the lack is. So implementation part is where the problem, and if you do that, gradually you will start seeing less plastic getting into the ocean. Sivam, it has been said that plastic is harmful to keep hot food as it releases toxic compound. Is it true? So what kind of plastic material is most harmful and which is least harmful? So if you look at the way, so there are whenever you buy certain containers of plastic, if you look at on the back, it says microwave safe, or it says you can use it for certain food storage. So those which says microwave safe and other stuff, you can use it in microwave. In the microwave, things does get hotted up. So that plastic will be okay. Many times they are actually blended plastic. They are not one type of plastic. They are blended together to make it safer for those environment. But yes, that single use plastic, which is the thin plastic, if you keep that's why I think in one of the maybe in live session or in the video, I say that taking those hot sambar in that thin plastic bag, that's very, very bad. Actually, by the time you are bringing that sambar from that store to your house, you are already getting some of those plastic chemicals. So, your sambar may taste better because of those plastic chemicals, but you are getting lot of chemicals getting into your body. So, you need to avoid doing that. So, those plastics should not be used in hot, but any plastic container that you buy which says that it is safe, which is mostly blended type of plastic, is okay to do that. So, it is not that all plastic will release toxic compounds, they are made for certain purposes, and we do use plastic in slightly warm environment as well. Then some Chirayu Chaudhary, why every company does not produce plastic bottles for packaging which are more similar in structure and material according to sizes. This will make recycling more easy. That is a very good suggestions, and that actually should be done, but what happens is the marketing. I think I may have talked about that in the video as well. People go for marketing, that even they want to make the bottle look cool because of the product has to sell, they have to attract the young generation. So, if it is just one type of plastic bottle, same shape and size, year after year people will get bored with that. So, we want to see something new. So, to make something new, they come up with this weird sizes, they come up with this weird design, and sometimes even with a label all around it. I think I give you an example of that, that the fizz drink, fizz drink, if you look at the fizz drink, the label is all around, and that getting that label off itself is a nightmare for plastic recyclers. So, those plastic bottles end up in the landfill in the dump sites. So, just to make product look cool, so if talk to your marketing MBA students, market MBA colleagues or friends, that please do not do it. They just make it, and the government should kind of force the industry not to do that, but just to make things look cool, we end up creating a lot of problem for the environment. So, but yeah, it is a very good suggestion that if everything is the similar, at least it could be different sizes. There could be a 200 ml bottle, 250 ml bottle, 500 ml bottle, and 1 liter bottle, but all the bottles, if they are similar type, then it becomes easier for recycling industry to recycle those. These days we are seeing for packaging food silver coated covers, are there in which category? Does they belong to food silver coated covers? So, those food silver that silver coated covers that you are seeing is those are multi-layered packaging. So, they have plastic and they have a very small thin layer of that is actually not silver, that is a very small thin layer of film which is sometimes maybe aluminum based as well. So, those are used to pack it together. We use it as a food containers or a cover of the food containers. So, they are again if they are not going to harm you as such unless you start warming them up and using things from that, but other than if they do become waste. So, as a waste stream it is there, but I do not think there is it will become a part of a packaging waste, but other than that you should not have too much issue with that, and that question came from Mr. Motilal. So, I think that's we are kind of getting towards the end of this session, and good that I see that we had more than 30 some questions came, and 30 questions came through the chat box. We had several questions which was also was there initially submitted to us. So, good that you guys are taking interest in this course. I hope it is being useful, and do take all your quizzes sincerely, seriously, and also you should take the exam. So, I do not know how many of you have registered right now, but if the date is still there, please go ahead and register for exam, because since you are making so much effort, you should try to get the certificate, and the fee is not that much for the exam anyway. So, our MHRD, the Government of India, Ministry of Human Resources Development is spending so much money for offering these kind of courses. So, you should take advantage, and ultimately this is your money, because it is the taxpayers money which fund, it is either your money or your parents money which fund these kind of programs. So, I think we will close it now. No further questions I see, and the time is also almost up. So, thank you for joining us today, and we will have one more live session in few weeks from now that will be informed to you as when we set it up. So, thanks, and see you during next live session. In between, keep sending questions on the discussion forum. Thank you.